Imagine a place where the bright orange Nickelodeon logo wasn't just on your TV screen, but all around you, a world of slime geysers, live shows, and the promise of meeting your favorite characters. For a generation of kids in the 1990s, Nickelodeon Studios was the ultimate dream destination. It wasn't just a theme park attraction, it was the headquarters for fun, creativity, and childhood imagination. But in the blink of an eye, it disappeared. By 2005, this vibrant hub of entertainment had gone dark, leaving behind only memories. What happened to Nickelodeon Studios? Today, we're revisiting its golden era and dissecting the reasons why it ultimately failed.
Welcome to Capital Chronicles, where we aim to dive deep into the stories that define the world of business, both the triumphs and the stumbles. Our goal is simple: to educate and inform. Through short, engaging case studies like this one, we're peeling back the layers of companies, products, and decisions that have left their mark on the business world.
Brief history of Nickelodeon Studios. Nickelodeon Studios officially opened its doors on June 7, 1990, in the heart of Universal Studios, Florida. Timing was impeccable. By the late 1980s, Nickelodeon had established itself as the go-to channel for kids, thanks to shows like Double Dare, Pinwheel, and You Can't Do That on Television. Its mix of quirky humor, outrageous slime, and relatable characters made it the fastest-growing cable network in America. Universal Studios Florida, on the other hand, was a brand new theme park, attempting to rival Disney World. Unlike Disney, Universal offered a unique twist, a combination of theme park attractions and real functioning production studios. This concept gave Universal an edge, appealing to guests who wanted to see behind the scenes of their favorite movies and TV shows. Nickelodeon and Universal saw a mutually beneficial partnership. Universal needed a family-friendly attraction to draw younger audiences, while Nickelodeon needed a centralized production facility. Thus, Nickelodeon Studios was born, featuring two massive sound stages, Stage 18 and Stage 19, and a colorful administrative building known as B-17. The studio was more than just a filming location, it was an interactive experience. Visitors could tour the facility, watch live tapings of iconic shows, and even participate in slime-filled game shows. The Slime Geyser, located in the courtyard, became a symbol of Nickelodeon's playful identity. Shows like Legends of the Hidden Temple, Guts, and All That were filmed here, and kids from around the country dreamed of being part of the action. For its first decade, Nickelodeon Studios thrived. It was a beacon of creativity and innovation, producing hundreds of hours of programming, but beneath the surface, challenges were beginning to emerge. By April 30th, 2005, the studio closed its doors for good, marking the end of an era. 1. The geographic challenge of filming in Florida. At first, Florida seemed like the perfect location for a production studio. Labor costs were lower, and the state offered tax incentives to attract filmmakers. However, the reality of filming in Orlando soon became a logistical nightmare. The entertainment industry was, and still is, centered in Los Angeles. Most of Nickelodeon's directors, producers, and crew were based in California, and relocating to Florida was both inconvenient and expensive. Instead of moving permanently, many chose to commute, flying back and forth between coasts. This increased production costs and created scheduling conflicts. The talent pool in Florida also presented challenges. While there were plenty of eager performers, Florida lacked the experienced production crews found in Hollywood. This meant Universal and Nickelodeon often had to import staff from California, further driving up expenses. Moreover, Florida's unpredictable weather added to the headaches. Frequent rainstorms disrupted outdoor shoots, and the studio's metal sound stages amplified the sound of rain, making filming indoors equally frustrating. 2. The decline of live-action productions. In the early 1990s, Nickelodeon Studios was a hive of activity, with multiple shows being filmed simultaneously. Game shows like Double Dare, Nick Arcade, and Figure It Out were staples of the studio. Visitors could watch live tapings and feel like they were part of the action. However, by the late 1990s, the number of live-action productions at Nickelodeon Studios began to dwindle. The network shifted its focus to animated programming, which was primarily produced in Burbank, California. Shows like Rugrats, Hey Arnold, and The Wild Thornberrys were massive hits. But they didn't require the live studio audience that Nickelodeon Studios was designed for. By 1996, the studio wasn't producing any live audience game shows, a stark contrast to its early years. Without these interactive productions, the studio lost much of its appeal as both a working facility and a theme park attraction. 3. The problematic theme park studio hybrid concept. The concept of combining a theme park with a working studio was innovative but deeply flawed. Theme park guests were constantly walking through production areas, disrupting filming and distracting crews. This was particularly problematic for live audience shows where quiet and focus were essential. Universal also required Nickelodeon Studios to maintain the illusion of being a bustling production hub, even during downtime. To achieve this, the studio staged fake productions for tour groups. While this kept visitors entertained, it further strained the staff and created a sense of inauthenticity. 4. The move to Los Angeles and Nickelodeon on Sunset. In 1997, Nickelodeon opened Nickelodeon on Sunset, a state-of-the-art production facility in Los Angeles. This move made perfect sense for the network. Los Angeles was home to the majority of the entertainment industry, making it easier to cast actors, recruit crew members, and coordinate productions. The new facility quickly became the hub for Nickelodeon's live-action shows. Iconic series like Kenan and Kel and All That transitioned to Los Angeles, leaving the Florida studio with fewer projects. By the early 2000s, Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando had become redundant. 5. Declining guest interest in studio tours. In its early years, Nickelodeon Studios was one of the most popular attractions at Universal Studios Florida. Kids and parents alike loved the chance to see their favorite shows being made and participate in interactive tours. However, as production slowed, the tours became less engaging. Visitors complained that there wasn't much to see, and the experience felt outdated compared to newer attractions in the park. The once thrilling opportunity to step into the world of Nickelodeon had lost its magic. 6. Universal's shift away from studio-themed attractions. When Universal Studios Florida first opened, its backlot tram tour was a signature attraction. Guests could see real sound stages, props, and behind-the-scenes elements of filmmaking. However, by the late 1990s, Universal began to pivot away from this concept. The park introduced modern rides based on popular intellectual properties, such as The Mummy and Men in Black Alien Attack. These attractions drew larger crowds and offered a more immersive experience than the studio tours. As Universal evolved, Nickelodeon Studios felt increasingly out of place. The focus had shifted to big-budget thrill rides, leaving the studio behind as a relic of a bygone era. 7. The impact of 9/11s on tourism and attendance. The tragic events of September 11, 2001 had a profound impact on the tourism industry. Universal Studios Florida saw a significant decline in attendance, putting financial strain on the park. Nickelodeon Studios was already operating at a loss by this point. Universal couldn't justify the expense of keeping it open, especially as fewer productions were taking place. While the studio had been a major draw in its early years, it was no longer worth the financial burden. 8. Expiration of Nickelodeon's contract. Nickelodeon's contract with Universal was set to expire in 2005, and by then there was little reason to renew it. Most of Nickelodeon's major productions had already moved to California, and the Florida studio was no longer a priority for the network. On April 30th, 2005, Nickelodeon Studios officially closed its doors. The iconic slime geyser was dismantled, the bright orange branding was painted over, and the space was repurposed for other uses.